Hello. Good evening.
Hey, Benny. Oh, Lala's here. How's your holiday, Lala?
Exhausting. I was doing my mom's banking work today. How's my mom? My mom's doing good. It's great to have a Grab driver for her, I guess, and someone to answer all the banking questions that she's just too lazy to answer.
I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but is everybody? It seems to be it's the season for leave at the moment for public holidays, right? The whole region's got something going.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Vietnam's comes up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, and I think that there's been Eid and there's been Independence Days and end of wars and water festivals and all sorts of stuff. It's definitely the season for it.
We just had Anzac Day.
Yeah, Anzac Day.
Anzac
What's
Day.
that?
It's a commemoration of when the Australian and New Zealand Army launched at Gallipoli back in 1915.
Now I know.
I guess it's one of the holiest days of the year in Australia.
Sure is. I have a big football match every year, and yeah, it's a pretty big day.
Parry can tell you all about it.
Can he? And I can't remember. Is it the only day of the year that you're legally allowed to play two-up, or is it the only day of the year that you're not allowed to play two-up? I can never remember.
You're allowed to.
So it's the only day of the year you're allowed to.
Yep.
That's enough out of you, Jeff.
All right, Ozzy. All right.
G'day, Benny.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. Lots going on, but as has been stated, skeletal crew. So who wants to kick off? Do you want to give an update from your side, Phil? I don't think Luke's going to be here.
Yeah, honestly, Benny, I don't think there's anything I can update anyone on. I'm trying to. There's nothing really I can talk about at this point.
Right.
Come
Not
on,
without-
Phil.
Not without spoiling a whole heap of stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, the stuff that you could talk about that you can't talk about, Luke doesn't know about, and Luke's on leave at the moment. And I keep telling Luke there's some things happening in the background, and you'll have to wait till you come back. And he's like, I'm in every channel, every minute, looking, trying to find it. What is it? And I'm saying, I'm not telling you. You'll have to wait till you come back. So I'm giving him the same old, same treatment that everybody else is getting. Why is it illegal? I've got no idea.
What, tour?
Yeah.
Gambling.
Gambling, yeah.
Really?
Gambling, that's not in a casino.
Public gambling, yeah.
There you go.
But it'd be great to put that in the vault, you know. Straight in.
We need like mahjong in the vault. Then we'll bring in all of the screen.
Poker.
Then my Chinese aunties would be
Gin
so
rummy.
happy.
Yeah.
Solitaire.
No,
Chess.
man.
How about chess?
Mahjong.
Free cell. Minesweeper. Minesweeper, how cool would that be?
Actual bombs.
Yeah.
So in relation to what Phil's talking about, there's lots of stuff coming up, which is cool. You've probably all seen the sneak peeks of the arcade and stuff, which is being implemented now and integrated. So that's going to be cool. Pretty sure that's going to be a number one hangout space for people to go and chill out. And I think that we also take for granted some of the stuff that we know is in there and we see. But I've gone in and done a few videos this week, and one of them I've posted on Twitter. But you know, just stuff like, for example, I can go in there, listen to a song, put a song on, and you know, Lala can be listening to a different song, and Phil can be listening to a different song, all simultaneously. So even though we're in the same instance and we're listening to different music, we're still talking to each other. We're still playing the same games. It's kind of cool that you can personalize that. And as you'd know, if you're going into the apartments and you're making modifications to those 4 apartments that are on display, you can be seeing different backgrounds, different floors, and different walls than the person who's standing right there next to you, which is kind of cool too. And on the end of that video, you'll see I was hoping he picked it up and retweeted it, because when Elon sort of retweets stuff, it sort of gets a fair bit of attention. But seems that on all of those tools, if you mention Elon Musk, it says banned against safety user. It's been removed from creation. Very weird. Very weird. Okay, so what about your side? Lala, do you want to do anything before I get into a general overview?
Sure. I actually just want to give a reminder to everybody that tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of when we rolled out our VALT MVP. If you guys remember how it looked like, it's been a year, and we have so many amazing things and what we've come up with that when I was looking back at last year's videos, it's just crazy. It's so different. It's so amazing what we have now. And yeah, we'll be doing some reminder postings tomorrow on our socials. So if anyone has a sweet memory of what they recall back last year, it was what it is this year, please feel free to share that.
I can't believe a year's passed already. It's amazing, isn't it? We'll have to get the collective shift guys in there, because I haven't been in there for 2 years.
So much burn.
Mate, don't get me started.
Okay. So it was really cool, and it's amazing how far it's come. It's like a completely different place now, which is awesome. But I think, you know, we're walking around in the same version as you, so I can see you, but I can also go into the arcade. So I can't wait for the arcade to roll out. We're talking to more and more people now who are getting us on their radars. So from a creator perspective and side, that's picking up, which is great. There's lots of simultaneous conversations going on with existing projects wanting to come into the vault versus projects that want to start up coming into the vault. And there's also conversations with creators that want to inject whatever they're doing into something that's already in there. Like, for example, put a game into the arcade. So there's lots of different things happening and lots of different levels at the moment, which is good. And now it's all about also asking what's coming next. So just a video like when we've shown, you know, we've had those voice customizations for some number of months now, but still to most people, when they see that, it's new. When we were showing people through last week, it was really an eye-opener to have people say, I don't believe that that's possible, or you have that. So to be able to jump in there and take them around and show them is really important. But again, a lot of the stuff that we sort of take for granted or glossed over or thought are small details are the ones that people get stuck on and say, wow, that's cool. So we've got to sort of take that helicopter view and step back a little bit and have a look at what there is. But AI, as we know, will play a huge role in what comes next. And I think that we're getting better and better skills on as well to help with the next lot of the build out. We're coming into a really important phase of the build out now that we're in open beta, because now it comes down to making sure that all of the pieces connect together properly. So RFOX ID is going under the knife, sorry. And we're also making sure that the infra side of things is able to scale it at will. And then what we've got to also do is make sure that we've got really good onboarding documents so that these people coming in don't need huge amounts of hand-holding. And we've talked about this for a long, long time. The amount of work. So each of these people that are coming in and seeing it are saying, cool, can you build me this, or can you create this? And it takes a lot of effort and work to build something for one person or one company that would take you away from what you're doing. So it's really important that we just get those tools finished so that people can come in and do it for themselves. 2 up in the vault. Yeah, again, that's a question I think we get asked every week, is in relation to the gambling and that side of things. I think, you know, we've always stated that it's going to be difficult to have a family-friendly type of place with gambling out in the open. But I think that with districts, it definitely opens up the possibility for businesses to launch in their district, as long as they're appropriately set up and run. It's got to be more of an open world. But again, they're your instances. So that's something that we get asked every week. We've talked to a number of people that have licenses that want to do different forms of gaming or wagering or whatever. It's probably the one request we get the most outside of gaming. Will COGs transfer to ETH? We put KOGU on ETH, and we're obviously we've told you that KOGU will feature in the near future. How can I answer that without answering it? There's COGs are where they are for the minute, and the possibilities for us to be able to do wider reaching stuff with everything is right around the corner. Updates from the C11 DAO. Do you guys want to give an update?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. One thing I'll say is it's hard to know what to share, Benny. And I don't envy you in the past having always been muted, because what's happened in this past week for us. I want to talk about it so bad. I guess I can share it in a more broader spectrum, but we're obviously meeting with quite a few reasonable sized projects at the moment, I can say. One has sparked enough interest where we believe it's bigger than the DAO itself, and so we actually had a meeting with Benny to discuss, what could be done from that perspective. So I think straight off the bat for us, we just want to say that the idea initially to propose the DAO, vote on the DAO, and have a different team attacking the Web3, Web2 space is a great idea, and I'm glad that it actually ended up happening, because if some of these projects do end up following through with potential partnerships, is that only occurred because the DAO was voted on. So that's exciting for us. We've got I will probably be on a Spaces this Friday with a project called Rumble Kong League. I think a few of you might have been seeing us tweet about it in the past, so we'll be having a chat with them at some stage. It's not the reason why it's not announced is it's going to be a little surprise visit at the end of their Spaces after their discussion. So if anyone's around, I think it's 7:30 a.m. My time here in Adelaide, which I think is ACST. So we'll be on that, and then looking to build off of there. And outside of that, I think the approach we're taking now is great. Speaking with all of the projects is welcoming. A lot of people are seeing the vision. They had never seen the Vault before, so now when they see it, I'm taking them through on the Oculus. I'm streaming it during our presentations, and they're absolutely blown away by what this product is. So yeah, we've got a good feeling, and we're trying to take our time, so when we do launch with those 11 projects, we can start to convert them to users. I don't know if there's any questions that are in there from our side of things. Anything from your point of view, Benny?
I always love it when people say, now we get an appreciation from the other side of the fence. It's actually very difficult to balance, and it's also hard to remember sometimes where you're up to. That's why my philosophy was always just spoil it, but you have to also be mindful that the ground shifts underneath of you when you're not responsible for, or not the ones in control of implementing and putting stuff in. But I think, like you say, you've gone the right way about the setup, and that's going to get you longer term traction. It'll probably mean that there's you look at these very strong themed meme coins and all the rest of it, and they get this supernova type attention for about 2 minutes, and then they disappear and no one remembers them 2 weeks later. I think the way you guys are setting this up is it's going to be something that's sustainable and for the longer term. So I think that's exciting, and I think the fact that you're getting some of the projects interested of the caliber that you are, that you can't talk about, is sort of testimony to the fact that it is the right way to go about it. So that's really good. I think it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. I think we are struggling with not sharing these things, because we've gone for four nights straight with projects that we've met with, and we want to announce them. We want to. We're just trying to tidy up the proposals and what we can and can't offer, and the second we can talk about them, they'll be on Twitter. We'll be on Twitter announcing them and going from there. So I'm not sure if anyone else had anything to share. If not, Shane, you're not allowed to. Adelaide, you're on mute.
Scott, I might just add something really quickly. Obviously, over the last couple of weeks, and I'm thinking over the next few weeks, we'll be announcing more updates in our Twitter and also Discord. So for those of you already who's in this AMA, again, thanks for your support. Those retweets and tweets, especially when other projects are doing it, all those little things help to be able to let people know about the C11 DAO and ultimately RFOX as well. So yeah, so sort of a big thanks from us. Early days, and we anticipate there'll be a lot more social things happening.
Yes, spot on. I might hand back over to you, Benny.
Yep, sure. Thanks, guys. We should rename this AMA to Ask Me Anything That's Not a Secret. There you go. Some questions. Will we see the RFOX OpenSea collection get verified at some point? So we were told that we had to get to a certain level, which we already surpassed, and we did put all of the forms through for processing and all the rest of it. My gut feel is that I think they'll probably wait till the OGs get past 100, which is pretty close now, and then it's going to be a lot easier to get that done. But we as I say, we've ticked all the boxes that they asked for, so just waiting for that to happen. But the plan for us, or the hope for us, was to get the amalgamated collection ticked, so everything under RFOX ticked, so it wasn't just by each individual part of the collection. So that's the important part for us. When can we access the other 2 quarters inside the vault? So as we've stated, what we're doing is making sure that we've got the current 2 quarters in the Class R5 stable, and that we've started to get these projects that are coming in loaded in and booted up. And we've already got all of the pieces there, the design there and everything for those quarters. And so once that stability is there, it's actually relatively simple to deploy. But again, what we've stated is we haven't done any sales for the districts in the quarters. So we really just want to make sure that we're providing value to the people that already have quarters, and making sure that all the tools and we've got some traffic and some footfall through there, which would make a lot more sense rather than adding more empty stuff at this particular point in time. So that's the sequence of events. Will our citizens' avatars have mouth and facial tracking? I feel it would be an important feature if users were planning to live stream from their apartments in the future. So the pleasing part about this is the easy part. But the hard part was the motion and the movement, and making sure that these avatars, obviously you've seen back, and I mean Lala's put some flashback footage from Fly Me to the Moon and stuff. People look like ants and spiders and lizards, and they were crawling around on the floor, and it was like horrific. Now we've got to a good balance, and I mean no one's mastered it 100% yet, but we've got to a really good point now. So now our main objective is to make sure that the citizens are out, weighted and rigged properly, and then we can work on that part. But that part's easy. There's lots of different tools that we can use to animate.
If I can just add to that, Benny.
Sure.
Ready Player Me already has tech that people can use for streaming. So you can take your avatar that you have in the vault, and they have an app with the mouth moving that records you with the background of whatever you want it to be. So it could be you within the vault. So it's actually, for streamers, it's actually doable now. We don't need it, but I know that the mouth tracking is something that Luke is exploring, because it would have to be different, right? Because the Oculus doesn't have a camera at your mouth. So I think he's looking at stuff like voice voice tracking to make the mouth move. But if you want to stream from your apartments, you could do it now with the app that Ready Player Me put out.
Thank you, mate. Well, next one's a contentious one. Benny, why has Binance and Coinbase not listed RFOX and VFOX? So Binance list on their terms. I can give you my views, but they're obviously not endorsed by Binance or anything like that. I think that they used to have a very hype-driven focus, obviously, and on users, and it didn't even matter if they were bona fide. There was a lot of people that had bought large audiences and got on because they had large audiences. I think that they've started to tighten up a little bit as they've come under scrutiny as well. So the most important thing is to sort of make sure that you've got a product or you're real and you've got a docs team, which we tick all of those boxes. We've never been a sexy project in the sense that we haven't done a ton of marketing to hype up something that wasn't there yet. So realistically, it's ours for the taking. We've just got to make sure that we get those users in. Now that we go into open beta and start marketing it, we have to start putting those experiences in the users, and I think it's just a matter of time. With the Coinbase side of things, they added the ability to buy RFOX some period of time ago, and we know what we have to do there. So from the anything that's American based or touches America, and they're still there for the time being, you need to make sure that you are doing the right thing. Make sure that you never talk about token prices, or that you give people the outward impression of expected profits or gains and stuff like that because of the security laws. So there's a very clear path there. It's really up to us to go and tap them on the shoulder again and say we don't have any of that stuff, and we're not talking about price or whatever. And you'll notice that we've always been like that. But if you go back and have a look at wording in blogs, or we might have retweeted or whatever, there might be might mention the word investors or something, and you can't mention the word invest. You can't mention investors. You can't mention profit. You can't mention lots of different words. So you just got to go through, make sure that all your wording's tidied up and that you're not treading on any toes. We've done the right things from a setup and structure, and doxing ourselves, and towed the lines and all the rest of it. And we know with conversations with multiple different parties that we do tick the boxes, majority of the boxes for American-based companies now as well. So I think now all we need is a little bit of traction, get those users in, and we're redoing all of our comms and websites and stuff like that anyway. So I think we'll have the information that we need, and we've done everything and put ourselves in a good position then. Are there any concerns about the future of the RFOX project? Ziggy, are you talking about, are we concerned about anything? I think that from a project perspective in general, we're doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that we're compliant, we're on the right track. We spend a lot of time that people obviously don't see in meetings, planning, strategy, with all the members across the countries. So I actually feel as though getting the product and getting the base out was the hard part. And I think that, we're spending a lot of time right now on making sure that our structure is future-proof from a setup perspective. So I'm much more confident than I've ever been that we've got the right type of tech, we've got the right type of product, and we've got the right type of structure. So as far as general concerns are, the question of, will people still have a penchant for Web3? Is it still a thing? Is it going to progress the same if we go into a deep recession in the fourth quarter? I think that most of the factors that could potentially cause some sorts of concern or question marks would not be isolated to RFOX. It would be everybody. But ultimately, you've got to believe in the space, right? We wouldn't be building what we were building if we thought it didn't have a future or it was a dead end. So I think from a setup and structure perspective, we've grown a lot in the last year. We're in a much better position than we have been before. We've still got a lot of work to do, but we have a much clearer path. We're still getting some questions answered on how things are working. But if you look at companies like you mentioned above, like your Coinbases and your Binance, I think Binance has moved to 5 different countries. They're still grappling with legislation and regulatory compliance, and you've got Coinbase looking at leaving America. So I think the concerns that I would have are more about what is the landscape of Web3 and crypto look like 2 to 5 years from now. And speaking very openly and candidly, we've been very carefully making sure that we have the components of the business sitting where they need to be sitting, so that we're making sure that we're modular and we can grow, and that any of these legislative changes that come in shouldn't affect our product offerings and our services and all the rest of it. So I would say from a worry perspective, from that angle, I would have a lot less worry than I've ever had in the past. Outside factors that impact everybody, you can't control those. So all you can do is stay true to your course and keep going. And you'll notice that we haven't deviated. We've had to pivot from time to time, but our end goal has always been the same. I think it's been validated beyond a shadow of doubt. And, Phil's here from the team. Lala's here from the team, and I'm sure that they'll talk to you from the internal perspective and who we're speaking to. I don't think it's, I can remember a time where we could have and should have been more bullish. Our biggest head scratching stuff at the moment internally is, how do we develop this part fast enough? Will we have enough tools available for people to be able to start and get on with it now? And I think answering your question in a sort of a 1-sentence short form answer, the biggest concern that I would have is, are you A, well enough across AI, and B, are you moving slowly enough to be well across AI, but yet know what you should and shouldn't implement at this early stage? So we've seen a few disastrous implementations of AI. I think we're going to see a lot more disastrous implementations of AI as we go forward. So I think one of our biggest focus areas is on making sure that we're up to date with what all the tech provides and what it can do for us, and making sure that we're not painting ourselves into a corner or introducing the wrong type of technology. But I think we've got the balance right so far. We've got a very talented team that understands exactly what's possible and what's going to help us get to our end goal. So, yeah, so I think, you asked me to go on, I probably would have said, well, I definitely would have said, if any concerns about the future of the RFOX project a year ago, I would have said plenty. If you ask me now, it's more sort of nothing that rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty can't solve. Phil, from your perspective, or Lala, from your perspective, I think obviously we get the benefit of being on the inside.
Sorry, Benny, you're cutting in and out there.
Get see.
Yeah, Benny, your connection's a bit crazy.
We're talking to. Thing you'd like to add there, or C11 DAO? You're talking to people all the time. Is it better now? Do you want to add something,
yeah.
Phil? You're talking to people. C11 DAO are talking to people.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, the really interesting thing is that, like, I don't have that same fear of regulations and because even if blockchain or crypto were to fall off the earth tomorrow, what we're building is still relevant. It's almost a new social platform, right? It's not just e-commerce and entertainment, although we'll have those things. Those things exist, Web 2 or Web 3. So yeah, I'm very obviously very bullish on the future of RFOX.
I was just saying, I had you on mute. I was just saying to King of Cogs, that's probably, that's one of the best answers I've ever heard. I'm stealing that, Phil.
Go for it.
Anything you want to add, Lala? Because I'm going to be in dodgy connection for about
I think you're already in dodgy connection.
90 seconds.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, I have the same sentiments as Phil. You know, I love games. I love gaming. Having VR and connecting with people on that platform, I see it as something very natural. And I think most of you who are on Discord, we've been chatting for so many months, years for some of you, and going into the vault and seeing how the interaction changes is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. Even for now, like internally as a team, I know a few of my team members who play Slam pretty often, and we kind of get competitive about it. And it's just really making sure the pieces align for this to go into a totally different level for us. And yeah, once the arcade is there and you guys can see beer pong, mess around, play the glitches. I think Phil and I and MiCA have been playing with glitches, which is really fun. I look at glitches as something that's very interesting. You guys understand why it's a real passion project for a lot of us, regardless of whatever happens. It's something that we're really proud of.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't think it's not something we talk about a lot, but like to me, the Vault has a pretty big potential to be a new type of social platform because the immersion is so different compared to a TikTok, a Facebook, or Instagram or Twitter, right? And if you look at all those platforms, the major influencers are different on each one, right? Because they create these opportunities and tools.
Ones that were getting to eat all the protein from.
I don't know what that was.
Higher protein.
But they create these opportunities for these high status talents to really shine. And so, like to me, the Vault could be a major like spawning ground for tech and fashion influencers. I mean, especially for metaverse. I mean, this, like I said, even without Web3, the Vault is still very relevant.
Yeah, for sure. Early adopters will look at it as opportunities. I'm not sure whether you guys remembered how it's like whenever a new social platform happens, people just start jumping on it. I had friends who had early adopters for Instagram, did really well. Then those that had other early adopters for different platforms, they all have their own niche. And I feel that eventually we'll get somebody that's exactly like that. And we will have like specifically influencers for the vault because of what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great summary right there. I think we're getting a glimpse of what the future is going to look like, and we're seeing brand new cutting edge technologies being implemented, not only one by one but simultaneously. You're getting to see a cross section of blockchain, of VR, of AI. Everything's coming together at the same time, and it's kind of like I think one day in the very near future, people will look back down the track and they're going to say, wow, that being that early in all of those technologies and coupling them all up together at the same time was a pretty ballsy, risky move. There's a lot of intricacies in getting it all right, and no one knows which part. And again, we still don't have that product market fit assumed, but if you've been in the vault in VR and you've started to interact, you're getting a glimpse of what the future is going to look like. It's just that you guys haven't started helping us build that yet, and that's the part we're sort of excited for. And the problem is that everybody's got great ideas, and what was always going to be lacking with something like this is the ability for you to be able to come in and say, well, I'm not skilled, I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, I'm not a game designer. how can I impact, influence, and how can I bring something and help bring some of these ideas to life. And now is the opportunity with all these tools to be able to start saying, I can use my voice, I can use basic text prompts, or I can pick up easy to use tools, and I can actually help create something from my imagination and have that implemented and used. And like Lala said, if you're early on some of these other platforms and technologies, you can do really well. And I think this platform will be no different. If you're an early influencer, content creator, marketer, advertiser, asset creator, brand, even users, that's the new element, right? Is that from the user's perspective, how does a user get paid? But with this and the implementation of blockchain and integration of blockchain, now the users can actually get rewarded and paid as well. So this is a new paradigm. It's really exciting. When we'll be able to create leprechaun avatars, so the avatar creation tool is already in existence, but once it's publicly released, we're looking. I'll have to let Luke answer that. I would say it's still a few minutes away from a public release, but it's there. It's documented. All of the stuff's put together. It's working. It's tested. It's used for our avatars. So it's just a matter of putting skeletons in, and then we just add all the stuff from the NFT side of things for the assets. So hair colors and as we've said, how people will use that in our minds is they'll use the avatar creation tool to create, for example, a 10,000 unique collection, and then they'll actually create the accompanying NFT to that. So they'll do it in reverse. So you'll have fully metaverse-ready avatars from the beginning. Pete mentioned about crafting new KOG packs. When is that happening and the marketing for it to get pushed? Phil, I don't know if you know the answer to that one.
Nice try, Atash, man. We can't. But if you haven't heard it from Pete already, then you're probably not going to hear it from any of us. Nice try, though. But there is a lot going on behind the scenes, and I guess there's one thing I can say about the thing I can't talk about, but it hits like the things me and Pete are working together on now. It hits games, it hits KOGs, it hits Vault. So we just had a really pretty exciting meeting today. But you'll learn soon enough when he's ready to talk about it.
When are all the people going to make it to an AMA going to get into the Vault at the next meeting? I think we've talked about actually having an AMA in the Vault, and we should be looking to transition to doing most of this type of, obviously there'll still be Discord, of course, and there'll still be people in there chatting and doing calls, but obviously transitioning to have AMAs in the Vault would make sense at the soonest practical time. And I think that once the arcade goes in as well, as Lala and others have alluded to, this will be a major hangout and meetup space, and it will be cool to be able to get in there and do an AMA and at the same time be able to play beer pong and video games and cruise around, play chess and hang out, and it's going to be great. I can't wait for that to happen. So the answer to that question is we should be looking to transition these types of meetings across there ASAP. Benny, you have or RFOX's legal team from Neo Legal read and get RFOX compliant with Europe's new MiCA legislation. Yeah, so we've got a couple of legal teams, and we have people based in Europe as well. So it's a fast-moving space with a lot of new laws and regulations. So from the European side, we've got the same people that Meta use. So good hands. These people know exactly what's moving, coming into play, and help us to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve. So almost every day we're in some sort of legal strategy or planning meeting. It's the boring stuff that no one wants to hear about. It's the scary stuff too. If the AMAs are involved, I won't be able to record. So we'll work on that. Obviously, that's important as well. But again, if you do some pretty cool stuff in the vault and go into, say, the arcade and have giveaways and AMAs and meetups and all the rest of it, then that's even more of an enticement for people to come in. And if people say we're in the wrong time zones, then the other thing is we can always do more than one meetup in the vault. Now, I mean, we have loads of AMAs, but not on meets. If we have a massive event where the community goes in en masse, it will look great for RFOX. Yeah, I think we've got a couple of projects that will come in that have larger communities than we're used to. So that does pave the way to be able to do stuff like, and I'm just telling you off the top of my head, I'm not saying an actual thing, but that would allow you to say, let's have a beer pong tournament, for example, and we're going to see which project's got the best players, or have esports teams types of things. There's lots of stuff that we can do, but we need to make sure that we've got the stability there, and that's when the arcade will drop. And that will give us the ability to start bringing in projects and bringing in lots of traffic. And that's something that keeps Luke and the team awake at night, is trying to make sure that the bugs are fixed and that there's stability and that we can scale at will. Phil, so you think in time we will see Vault influencers?
So I just answered that in the chat.
Okay.
Absolutely. But the thing is, like, unlike TikTok, you can't just sing or dance or show skin to get followers, right? Our influencers will be builders. So we're definitely going to have like the smartest influencers around.
Oh, for sure. We're already seeing it. I've already had a couple of conversations with people who want to do, so as soon as the tools formally drop and they've got access to the portals, I've already got people that have said that they would I'd connect to the marketing team that would want to do that type of influencer videos. So you're looking at launching something in the vault. Here's how you do it, and making videos. So not necessarily top 5 coins of next month, more so if you want to get in and create something and start up a business or launch a brand in the vault, this is how you do it. So there's already people that are interested in doing that. Nearly there. So that was my exact pitch to a Web2 company tonight. As I'm walking them through the vault on Oculus, I was explaining this is what the future will look like. It makes sense. It so does. And I think the thing is, you've got to also understand our point. We've been in a situation where for 3.5 years, we were sitting in a room, including with you guys, saying, we've got this plan and we're going to have all of these apps and they're all going to click together and they'll come together on one platform, and that platform will be a world in the metaverse, and it'll have how do you explain that? No one's talking about metaverses. So let's talk about it being like a virtual mall with entertainment and retail and the social element. How do we explain that? But the thing that's really interesting now is someone will jump in with an Oculus, and it doesn't even matter if they're in their 50s or 60s. They'll jump in on an Oculus and they'll go, oh, this is cool. Hey, can I do this? And when will I be able to do that? And you don't really have to explain anymore. It's just a matter of getting them in there. But, even with our own families, we have them say, can I jump in there again and have a look? Or if they come around and they don't have an Oculus, they'll say, what's new? Can I have a look at what's in there? So it's really cool. I know that Luke and Co have had multiple family get-togethers in Australia where the extended families have all been, tugging on each other's arm to, it's my shot, let me in there. And they give you lots of suggestions, lots of feedback, lots of ideas for improvement, but it sparks a conversation that lasts a lot longer than when you put your Oculus down on what the future looks like, how this is going to change things, change the way we interact. The funny one to me is people say, if you're going to have an Oculus and you get into a place like the Vault, do you think it'll make people a little bit more antisocial and less likely to mingle in person and stuff like that? And then I go look around the table right now at everyone sitting here having a meal. There's not one person not looking into their mobile phone. It's like we're already well past that stage, aren't we? It hits COGs, RFOX games, Vault, just not us, the users yet. I think the users is the last part, right, of everything. And like realistically, the conversations that we're having with creators and people that want to build or game devs, that's exciting for us, and that's why we're super bullish. But we're, I don't know what time frame, but we're probably 3 to 6 months ahead of the curve because we know these things are going to take time to implement and integrate. But we're seeing that already. We can see that the interest from the developers or the purse strings of the people that are looking to build is getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting a lot more serious. And we've gone from, you know, a year and a half ago tugging on people's pant legs saying, please consider us or have a look at us, and we haven't got anything to show you, to holy crap, lucky we didn't do something with those guys a year ago, because now there's a lot bigger parties that want to come along and play. But, you know, as the C11 DAO can attest as well, we've got a small window, and that's what it is. Let's be honest. We've got a small window because at this particular point in time, when we're going out and talking to people, we don't have an exact direct competitor. We have lots of people that are either doing something in VR. We have a lot of people that are doing something in AI with metaverse or whatever. But if you said we've got a metaverse platform that's in open beta and it's got the end-to-end tools right here at our fingertips, and even if the instructions for some of that stuff isn't out yet, we can help you do it on our side, or we'll do it for you. We've got a unique offering, and it won't remain a unique offering for long. There'll be lots of people looking to build something similar or replicate or whatever, or we open it up a little bit and make it so that other people can utilize and use our tools to build like structures and things. So there you go. There's a bit of alpha for people listening. You can't just sing, dance, or show skin to get followers. You have to build. We'll have the smartest influencers. Yep, I think he's right. I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense. I'm seeing top 5 coins in my YouTube feed every day. Bull market is on, laugh out loud. I think it's just I get asked this question all the time. I've got asked to do a couple of Twitter spaces and podcasts recently talking about market stuff, and I keep saying, no, it's a really, 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 your brain tells you crypto's designed to combat and make up for an inadequate financial system, and the financial system's under strain, so this is the time it should shine. But on the same token, you also know that a lot of people that are invested in crypto or have a lot of crypto also have a lot of, might have stock or have money in the real world as well. And the thing is that they're pulling on their crypto gains or their crypto holdings to pay for their lives. And we've got, not good numbers. We've got technical or non-defined recessions and almost inevitable mass recessions looming, and it's kind of like this culmination of everything coming together at once, and you kind of think if crypto's ever going to have its day, now could be it. But the logical side of you also says conditions aren't right for us to go onto a massive bull market, so it's a very, very difficult one to know for sure and certain. It depends on whether they turn the printers on and how much as well. Smartphones equal VR, that's something that comes up all the time, mate. And I think that, I don't know how many times I've heard people say we have to get to one device. We can't keep having a headset and a mobile phone and a computer and this and, the smartphone revolutionized things. I think something will come out that combines things or makes it more accessible for sure. Here you go. If I create a nightclub in the vault with music, etc., and have a zone that I can walk to that takes me to a VR camera in reality, similar to how a VR porn site will take you to specific women live. Not familiar with the concept, but
are you Rect? Are you asking if we will be able to stream a live feed of?
I think that's what he's trying
VR
to say.
space?
I think. But what's the like environment or same environment part mean? So Phil, if I understand what you're saying as well, like if I take a VR camera and film something in VR and beam that to the vault, that's one thing. But what's this same environment thing mean?
I'm not sure, but if you're asking if there can be a live feed of the vault, I'm sure that is possible.
Artesh, what are your top 5 coins, Benny? Mine are VFOX, RFOX, Bitcoin, ETH, and Wax. I wouldn't, if I had to choose 5, I wouldn't change much for that. I'd swap Wax out for DOT. I still have high hopes for DOT. I think DOT's learned a lot from what Ethereum wasn't able to pull off, and I think they're perilously close to getting that right. They haven't really got projects launched properly on there yet. They've got a few that are just starting now. I mean, it's really in the infant stages. They're probably 5 or 6 years behind ETH as far as the project deployment's concerned, but I think it'll all happen very quickly. But yes, I have a club in the vault, but there is a club in reality. There you go. Okay, so similar environment, you mean a club in the real world, filming it in VR and beaming that into the vault. Yes, but you wouldn't be able to like replicate it in the sense that, how do I say that? Right now we've got with AI being able to code and coupling ChatGPT and Blender and all these different things together, we're getting pretty close to being able to create assets that could be used inside of environments. I don't, like I keep saying it's 3 to 6 months away, and people keep saying, oh, it's way sooner than that. You've got to balance like poly counts and loads and all the rest of it together. So there's a fair bit of stuff that needs to be sort of taken into consideration. But ultimately, I don't think we're very far away from being able to walk into a place and say, couch, red, just like we do with the walls, but it creates the actual asset. And then the question that we get when we talk about that is people say, could I mint that as an NFT and then sell that so that other people can buy it? Yes, you could, of course. So we're coming into a very, very exciting period where people with great imaginations can be creators. And we do keep hearing, oh, this is going to suck because what about people that do this stuff for a living or whatever? Just look at history. Those people were not going to be all replaced. It'll enhance the industry and there'll still be people that are way better than other people at certain things. So I can move around the vault, but go to a zone that links me to a VR camera in the real club. You can beam anything and you can feed anything. But again, if you're trying to replicate that feed into an environment that actually has created assets, so for example, I walk into a nightclub and I see the bar and you're filming that on a VR camera and I can replicate that into a blank district and that bar becomes a VR bar that I can walk up to and it's like I'm in the same type of environment, that would have to couple what I was talking about a minute ago. You'd have to be able to do the asset creation. You could project, but you couldn't make it virtually physical, if that makes sense. Okay, a couple more questions. Hey, Benny, how is the interest from Web 2 going? We are seeing companies dip their toes in, e.g. Hugo Boss with Ready Player Me, any RFOX are working with. We're still getting lots of inquiries and I have chats with people a lot from Web 2, but predominantly they're trying to case out what it is they can do to keep their brands relevant. And just like you just made the example with Hugo Boss, people want to do a collab. They want to keep arm's length until they can really suss out and ascertain what it's all about. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the crypto brands go after Web 2. I did say this a year ago. If you've come to any of these AMAs, I keep saying Web 2 companies need to be quick to establish a position in the Web 3 space. Otherwise, Web 3 companies will be born and they're going to start stealing ground off of Web 2 companies. That's why I really, really like the aggressive move that Nike made with Artifact, even if it hasn't been perfectly successful. It was a tremendous idea and a tremendous move and ballsy. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Web2 companies that can and have the means will start buying Web3 companies before they really take off. And the Web3 ones that sort of get through the cracks and really take off will start to look at buying into Web2 companies or taking ground off of them by replicating what they do. So yes, talks are happening. It's a matter of how you secure them. And the Web2 mentality is still, I'm a famous brand, you should pay me to work with you. Whereas Web3 is more sort of, here's my lunchbox of food in the schoolyard. What have you got? Do you want to do a trade? So that's so much better. Web3 brands are so much easier and better to work with. Is this a legitimate RFOX OpenSea collection? Has anyone answered that?
I'm looking at it now. Did we rename the shops?
It is legit.
Lala, you know anything about this?
Yep, you can actually click our official link. So it leads to the same page. We actually changed that recently, I think about a week or two ago, with the new map. So it may seem like a new look for some of you guys, but this is what it has been improved on.
Yeah, and I can see the contract is still the RFOX deployer, so.
Yep. It just looks slightly different than last year's mapping system, but that is legit. Either release, official links are there.
Yeah, my phone's just loaded it now, and 100% that's real. But it does take us back to that previous point of, are we moving towards getting the verification ticks? And again, it used to be 100, and then they told us that we only needed to get to 70, and we had to do this, this, and this. So we did all the forms, we got to the 70, we did all of that. But what we're trying to do is make it that we don't want to go through getting to 70 or 100 on each. It should be that the RFOX deployer gets a tick, and then we can amalgamate all the collections like Fluff and a few others have done it so that you can sort of drop down the menu in the description, and then you can see all of the other approved and legitimate collections. So that's important that we get that tick going on and going through. So yes. Can we buy them? When were they on sale? So they were on sale some 18 months ago or thereabouts. For the first ones. The third and fourth quarters have not gone for sale, and as we were saying earlier in the Discord call, that those will be, once they're built out, we wanted to make sure that we've got a look and feel of them, and we've got a lot more action going on in the 2 quarters that are there. But I've said this before, and I'm hinting, and I'm not saying that it will definitely be the case, but I think that we're definitely headed towards a situation, and this will please the people that are on the team in the call. I think we're definitely headed towards a situation where the third and fourth quarters wouldn't actually necessarily need to be sold. And it's not necessarily a matter of wouldn't need to be sold to raise revenue or to raise funding. I'm talking about the way things are going with people asking for spaces to build in or to do collabs or whatever. We have enough, and we will have enough established demand to be able to say we can allocate those to brands and companies and shops and projects that are coming in. Don't need to go and publicly put them out there. So for the people that already have them, that's obviously a pretty positive news. But we haven't called the sale off. But I'm saying if things keep heading the way that they are, we won't need to do a sale for those last 2 quarters. We'll just have enough companies and brands ready to slot straight in there.
Benny, can I just say something on that?
Yep.
So, from that perspective then, is the intention that when you say there's going to be enough or there is enough interest, you would be selling them to these companies? Or are they big enough where you believe they deserve to be given them?
No. I don't think that. I think that, even the marquees I struggled with, and people might say, well, you should have just done what everybody else did and just give away. We've seen I won't mention the metaverse, we've seen other metaverses say, I'm going to give away tons of land to brands. And the brands have now come back and said, now build everything for us, do everything for us, and all the rest of it. And they just don't have the resources, the capacity, and the ability to do that. And other metaverses have gone out and said, we're just giving away land to people that show any type of interest in wanting to build something. And then you just get absolute shit shows on the land, or it looks terrible, or there's massive holes everywhere. So we took that pathway, as you know, of going down and saying we wanted to at least build things out before we launch and go to market and all the rest of it. But in relation to would you sell them or just give them away, I don't believe in giving them away. I believe that they're worth something. But to the point of, let's take C11 DAO as an example. If you are able to say, right, a DAO model works really well, and we've got a number of DAOs, for example, that want to follow suit, love what you did, it's a great way to build a community. It's kind of like a bootstrapped way to do things. And communities came in and said, I've got a really good idea, got a really good following, I've got a really good crowd. I'd already have a product in the Web2 space, an NFT collection or something, and I want to now really push the tokens and stuff and build up that community inside of a metaverse. Then we would be able to say, right, here's an allocated district. You've got a year. You can use your development funds or treasury funds or whatever to buy that district if you would like to keep it. And that way we can get some really high quality projects in there building and deploying. But that would be the most logical way to do it. We've got so many ideas, collab potentials, builders, and people that would really be able to utilize the space, and they're not going to sit on it. They're not going to say, I bought it hoping to flip it. But it's also excellent news for people that did buy with the view of flipping it and not building, because it will become harder and harder to get your hands on these, and they'll be effectively then more sought after. So again, no firm decision's been made. But
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So then if you were to, like you said, enough people wanting them / selling them to them, whatever the choice is on that aspect, are you then saying that the ones we currently see on Akamoto and Kellanova that are on OpenSea are the other 50 for the other 2 quarters, do they never end up in these positions, or will there be those NFTs, and if those places choose to sell them in the future, they can?
That'd still be NFTs, and if for example we turn around and say we can help incubate or help launch a project for you, and or work out a deal for that space, a project knowing that they could potentially deploy a game, get their community built up, and all the rest of it, get their traction coming in and saying, oh, holy crap, this is really worthwhile to my project. We could be in a situation at that stage where we're saying, okay, then you're going to have to pay 100 ETH, for example, to hold on to that space. It's obviously worth a ton to you. You can buy that, but if they did, they would then obviously receive that NFT, and they would be able to then buy that, but to sell that if they wanted to. But ultimately, the idea of that as well is it also helps to protect the value and to drive the value for the people that currently hold districts, because if you've got a standard agreement with some of these brands coming in and the market dictates that's worth 100 ETH or whatever, that floor price is obviously extremely bullish. And hopefully, if someone's sitting there and going, well, I didn't really plan on doing anything with my district, I just wanted to flip it, that incentive or that price or the demand for someone to rent that space is high enough that person goes, well, I've got a decision to make. Do I rent it, or do I flip it and give it to someone who actually wants to build on it? Our job right now is to get as many engaged projects in there, build as much engagement and traction as we can, so that there's a little bit of pressure on the people that aren't doing anything with their space.
Yep, cool, thanks.
All right. I know we've run way over, so just making sure we've got everything. So I found a shop space thing in the Akamoto district, and it had a heap of NFTs on the wall. Is that an RFOX users district? They've chosen to display their NFTs there. Yeah, so only the district owners can display their NFTs in their district, yes. But if you bought the district, you have the opportunity to gut that to replace that with a game, to use a different template, to put up your own NFTs. If you buy that, you wouldn't just sort of say, oh crap, I've got to move in and it's fully furnished and all the rest of it. You could retain that template minus their NFTs, of course, or you could rebuild it using one of the templates that we provide, or from scratch if you've got Unity development skills, or work with someone who can do that. But you're effectively buying that plot, that space, and it is, for all intent and purpose, it is scalable to much bigger proportions than currently exist. So you can make them quite big. And if you go into Fear and have a look at the VR game Fear, that's got an entire application and game inside of the space. So there's a lot you can do with those spaces. They're not like a traditional turf plot or something like that, and saying we're trying to build something and then later you can do something with it. This is these are already configurable. They already have templates and you can already do integrations. All right. So thank you very much for joining, guys. We did go over a bit, but let's try and plan some more meetings up in the vault as well, so that we can utilize that space and that opportunity to hang out. Thank you very much for attending tonight, guys. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we will speak to you all very shortly.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Bye.